All you remember is losing control of the car and the feeling of hitting a wall as you crashed into the divider. As you come to, you can smell burnt rubber and you notice that your airbags were deployed. There's glass all over the floor and you hear an ambulance already on the way. After your ambulance ride at the hospital, you're obviously grateful you're okay. You have some scratches from the airbags, a slight concussion, and general soreness. But a few months later, you get a letter in the mail letting you know that a certain limit in your auto insurance policy has been exhausted and that you owe another $2,000 for the ambulance service that took you to the hospital. Why do you owe this? Shouldn't this have been taken care of on your health insurance? Coming up, the number 2 most overlooked coverage we see in auto policies on this episode of the How Insurance Works podcast.
Welcome to the How Insurance Works podcast. The content in this podcast should not be considered insurance advice and is for general informational purposes only. Insurance forms and endorsements vary based on insurance company, changes in addition dates, regulations, court decisions, and state jurisdiction. So please consult your agent for further advice. And now back to How Insurance Works with Mike McGilvery.
Welcome to the How Insurance Works podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If we have not yet met here, my name is Mike McGilvery. I'm a second-generation licensed agent and broker at Shaw, Moses, Mendenhall & Associates in Southern California. My goal is simple. It's to help educate and inform on various aspects of insurance and the insurance industry to help you make better informed decisions. As we did in last week's episode, in this episode and next week's episode, we're doing a 3-part series on the top 3 most overlooked coverages in auto insurance policies that we see from our experience. This is by no means a statistically verified list. It's simply the 3 most overlooked coverages we see in auto policies when working with new clients. These are coverages that we generally need to educate clients on because they simply aren't aware of these coverages. So what about the situation we alluded to in the beginning of the podcast? You unfortunately lost control of your car, you crashed into a divider, you were transported to the hospital in an ambulance, you did need a little bit of care, but thankfully you were okay. Now it's a few months later and you're getting a notification in the mail that one of the coverages in your auto insurance policy has been exhausted, and now you owe $2,000 more for your ambulance service. Well, why didn't your health insurance take care of this? The right coverage can help with this, and it is the number 2 most overlooked coverage we see in auto policies. That coverage is medical payments coverage, or MedPay. And it isn't so much that this coverage is completely missed. It's an optional coverage in auto insurance policies, but a lot of insurance companies add at least the minimum in your insurance policies. The issue with this coverage is a lot of people simply don't have enough of it. Did you know, as an example, that medical payments coverage is often the primary coverage that pays for your ambulance bills in a car accident? One reason why it's so important. In this podcast, we're going to talk about medical payments coverage, what it's for, how it can prevent a lot of hassle, and why it's becoming even more important to have nowadays. So what is medical payments coverage? If you have it, you should see it on your auto insurance policy under medical payments. This is coverage that can take care of some of your own personal medical expenses or some of the medical expenses of your passengers if you're in a car accident, regardless of who is at fault. It can help you pay ambulance and EMT fees, your health insurance deductible, or copays, surgery, x-rays, doctor or hospital visits, or nursing services, to name a few. The coverage is there to make everybody's lives easier. And if you have passengers in your car, they don't have to come after you to trigger medical payments coverage. It's simply going to be there. And sometimes maybe your passengers just need $1,000 to go to urgent care. Maybe they just need enough money to meet their health insurance deductible, or maybe they need a little bit of money to meet their copay. Medical payments coverage is a no-fault coverage, so think about it like available cash. It's there to take care of you. It's there to take care of your passengers. And if you take care of your passengers and they feel cared for, it's a lot less likely that they're going to come after you later on. And this is exactly where medical payments coverage is different from your bodily injury liability coverage, which you usually see on your auto insurance policy as limits of $100,000/$300,000 or $250,000/$500,000, for example. With bodily injury liability coverage, a third party you injured is coming after you. for that coverage to be triggered. There's usually a back and forth between insurance companies, usually attorneys get involved, so somebody's coming after you in that situation. Not so with medical payments coverage. No one has to come after you for medical payments coverage to trigger. It's there, like available cash to take care of you and your passengers if you're in a car accident. And again, the issue we see most is most people often don't have enough medical payments coverage. When working with new clients, more often than not, we do a review of their auto insurance policy and we see that they only have $1,000 in medical payments coverage, or they don't have any medical payments coverage. Now, even if you have $1,000, in most cases, this won't even cover the cost of an ambulance ride. And I'm going to show you a personal example to illustrate from a family member's accident. A family member of mine was driving after a long day at work. It was late in the evening. They fell asleep at the wheel and they slammed into a parked car 1 mile from home. Now, they do say that most accidents occur 1 mile from home, and that was certainly the case in this situation. Thankfully, they were okay, but they did need a little bit of care, so they were transported to the local hospital by ambulance, which was only 5 miles away. So this is a very short ambulance ride. And because we always like to show actual examples when we can at How Insurance Works, we're going to show the documentation on the video version of this podcast, which you can watch on howinsuranceworks.co, our Facebook page, or our YouTube page, both under How Insurance Works, or our Instagram at how_insurance_works. The ambulance ride to the emergency room after my family member's accident was a 5-mile ride, and there was a charge of $92.50 for the mileage. But there was an additional $1,747.37 due for ambulance services and $64.25 due for oxygen. The total billed for the ambulance ride was $1,904.12, and that did not include admittance to the emergency room. Now, at the time, my family member had $1,000 of medical payments coverage in their auto policy and received a letter a few months later from their auto insurance company letting them know that their medical payments coverage had been exhausted. $1,000 had been applied to the ambulance bill. Now, in their specific situation, they still owed $904.12 and an additional $940 for the emergency room services. So after the $1,000 in medical payments coverage was already paid out, they still owed $1,844.12. After a lot of time and a lot of hassle, their health insurance company did pick up a portion of that, but even after the health insurance, they still owed $581.79, and that's just for the ambulance ride and the emergency room admittance after the car accident. With higher medical payments coverage, $5,000 or even $10,000, all of this would have easily been taken care of by the auto insurance. And yes, even though their health insurance company paid for some of it, it was after a lot of hassle and time. And even after it went through health insurance, my family member paid $581.79. So with higher medical payments coverage, it would have cost nothing at all. Now, a common question we get is, well, wouldn't their auto insurance premium go up? It's not very likely. A medical payments claim isn't likely going to move the needle a whole lot with your auto insurance premium, if at all. So it's a fairly safe claim to make, unless it's enormously high, but that's not usually common because most of the time you're going to use your medical payments coverage to pay your health insurance deductible, and then your health insurance takes care of everything after that. Now imagine in my family member's situation if there were passengers in the car that also had to be transported by ambulance to a hospital or to an urgent care. These are extra costs and fees. What I can tell you now is that my family member carries $10,000 in medical payments coverage, and it only costs, depending on the insurance company, a nominal amount to increase your medical payments coverage. So when the member of my family increased it from $1,000 to $10,000, it was a nominal fee. And with most insurance companies, it's going to be $20 to maybe $50 extra per year. It depends on the company and depends how much you increase it. So that's a $4 to $5 increase per month to potentially increase your medical payments coverage from $1,000 to $10,000. And it could certainly be worth the $20 to save $500 or more later down the line. And it's certainly worth considering putting your medical payments coverage at $5,000 or perhaps $10,000. Now, a few considerations regarding health insurance, because we get the question a lot, is, wouldn't my health insurance just pick up the cost of the ambulance and emergency room admission anyway? Well, yes, it likely can, but it depends on your health insurance plan and whether you've met your deductible. If you haven't met your deductible on your health insurance plan, depending on what that is, you may have to pay everything out of pocket up to the deductible. Medical payments coverage would just take care of all of it for you, or it would at least pay your health insurance deductible so your health insurance can take care of everything after that. Even if you have met your health insurance deductible and maybe you have a minimum of $1,000 in medical payments coverage on your auto insurance, it may take a lot of work and hassle on your part to sort everything out between your auto insurance company and your health insurance company. Your health insurance company is going to need to know what the medical payments coverage paid out. They will likely need to subtract that, rebill you. It can be a huge hassle. You're going to have to let the health insurance company know everything that transpired. So it can cause a lot of headaches and hassle, whereas with medical payments coverage, it simply is going to take care of it for you. Now, keep in mind as well, as it relates to ambulance services or EMT services, what we've been seeing more and more is that more and more ambulance and EMT companies are choosing to opt out of many of the health insurance networks. So in many cases, as we know, we don't really have a choice on the ambulance company or EMTs that are servicing us in an accident. The accident certainly wasn't planned. But if it is a company that has opted out of the majority of health insurance networks, you may not have coverage at all in your health plan. This is another reason why proper medical payments coverage is so important. At least a minimum of $5,000 or perhaps $10,000. Work with your agent on that. The amount of medical payments coverage you can get varies with each insurance company. So again, work with your agent on this. Some insurance companies will offer up to $5,000 in medical payments coverage. Some will offer $10,000. Some will even let you go all the way up to $25,000. So again, it depends on the insurance company. Work with your agent on that. So this isn't a coverage that's completely missed. The issue with it, though, is most people don't have enough coverage. And we usually see a minimum of $1,000 in the coverage, or some people don't have the coverage at all. And if you're in a situation where you're injured in a car accident, or you have passengers in your car that are injured, good medical payments coverage can certainly help you save a lot of money and a lot of hassle later on. It can help reduce that hassle, and you may not have to directly deal with your health insurance company quite as much. So the medical payments coverage will pay your health insurance deductible, copays, doctor or hospital visits, x-rays, ambulance services, and it can help your passengers feel like they've been taken care of, so they don't feel like they have to come after you later on for anything. And again, if you only have a minimum of $1,000 in coverage or no coverage at all, remember, for an extra $4 to $5 a month, you can increase that to $5,000, $10,000, or even $25,000 in coverage. So please review your medical payments coverage in your auto policy with your agent. I hope this podcast was helpful. We're going to cover the number 3 most overlooked coverage we see in auto policies next week in our podcast. If you have a what if situation for us, let us know. Visit howinsuranceworks.co. You'll find our email link there. Email us and we may feature your question on a future How Insurance Works podcast. You can find our other social media links on howinsuranceworks.co or visit us directly on our Facebook page, How Insurance Works, our YouTube page, How Insurance Works, or our Instagram at how_insurance_works. To reach out directly to me, feel free to email me at mikemac@howinsuranceworks.co. That's Mike Mack at howinsuranceworks.co. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the next one.